Here it is, minions. The skirmish you've been waiting for. Nomger and his team versus the Ranger Quipper in our latest chapter of the Night Below campaign. As usual, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick cut-out minis. Today's players: Rick is Nomger, neutral evil human cleric of mask, 5th level. Sean is Hagen, true neutral elven magic user, 4th level. Matt as Yanaros Riston, chaotic neutral elven fighter magic user thief, level 111. Kingsley as Thalon Graffit, true neutral halfling fighter thief, level 11. Shannon, alas, couldn't make the session, so Elwinda is NPC'd. The group is camped down in the underground tunnels, preparing for their upcoming assault against the Ranger's farm, when a familiar face appears out of the shadows. Hagen, who has been moving quickly to catch up, arrives, and thus we perform our mandatory contrived character return. Normally, a contrived character exit would be performed for Elwinda as her player is absent, but in this case, no, minions. She had committed to the course, and thus will remain part of the assault, come what may. The new goblin allies have led the team to a small series of tunnels, too tiny to walk through, but large enough to crawl. They send the halfling Thalon up to scout, as he fits with no issue. After crawling through several hundred feet of narrow nooks and crevices, Thalon emerges into the nighttime air during a blizzard, the entire landscape obscured by snow. He returns to report that while the tunnels do emerge on the surface, he couldn't get the lay of the land due to the weather. The team chooses to remain down here until the weather is more optimal. Taking stock of resources, it dawns on Nom that he should have protection from good memorized, but realizes that in order to cast it, he needs dung for his censer, so they seek out bat guano inside the cave while they wait out the weather. During their efforts, a gelatinous cube emerges, but they have enough distance to flee. It pursues, but Yanaris lays down puddles of oil and lights them as the cube glides through. Up until this point, the group believed that only magic would hurt a cube, but are relieved when the fires eventually kill it. In the remaining goop, they find a bunch of coinage and a magical dagger, which Hagen takes. The group plots their spell complements, and once the weather is calm enough, they ascend to the surface, arriving just before dawn. Winds have died, though it is still snowing. Getting their bearings, they see that the goblins were right. They are indeed near the Churnet River, not far from Quipper's farm. They move forward to their task, murder on their minds. Nom sends the hawk scouting, and using Speak with Animals, the hawk reports that the man nest contains some humans and a man but not man. The spell translating the limited concepts that the animal can understand into language for Nom. The group begins speculating as to what the not man could be. A demi-human, perhaps. There aren't many in Haranshire, but there was a dwarf in town. That could be it. Thalon scouts forward, using his natural halfling stealth to move fast. Approaching the lone cottage, he sees a burly and stout man chopping wood. The man is conspicuously not wearing a shirt or winter clothes, seemingly unaffected by the cold, though his exertions of chopping the wood explains that. Thalon scouts around, and peering into the house, sees two men inside. Listening, he hears voices complaining about the weather, calling Maxim to stop chopping wood and join them for food. Thalon withdraws and regroups with the others to report. Nom and the group move forward. Nom sends the thieves to one side of the cottage, Hagen and Elwinda to the other. Both pairs are to remain hidden until they engage, maximizing their excellent stealth abilities, then blanket with arrows and magic. The rest will launch fire arrows at the house from their obvious and open position to hopefully start a fire, and maybe draw their quarry out to them. Once everyone is in place, they initiate the assault, loosing several flaming arrows, some of which fly through the windows. Shouts are heard. People run to the shutters and close them. The bare-chested man and two leather armor-clad crossbowmen appear at the door. Initiative is rolled, and Maxim runs forward, slamming the ground in rage and transforming into a giant man-bear before their eyes. Nom realizes in this moment his critical error, as he had forgotten all about this one. Maxim the werebear, whom he helped rescue with Quipper several months back. Except for Ranchifus, Nom sends the zombies and goblins in to dogpile the werebear and pin him down, but the massive beast shakes them off and barrels through, mauling Nom, grabbing him into a massive bear hug. The damage hurts Nom greatly, but his ring of free action allows him to slip out of the werebear's grip and prevent further instant damage. The crossbowmen shoot, injuring a zombie and killing a goblin. Yanaros and Thaland flank the crossbowmen and pepper with arrows, killing one, while more crossbowmen shoot from the slits in the shutters. A precision shot from Yanaros, a natural 20, kills one of the crossbowmen despite 90% cover. Elwinda fires a magic missile at the bear, injuring him. Melee continues, the mass of zombies and goblins attempting to pull the bear to the ground and pin him. Elwinda's next move is to cast Ray of Enfeeblement, and the werebear fails his saving throw, thus losing his prodigious strength, enough for the swarm of zombies and goblins to finally knock him over and hold him down. Thalon and Yanaris kill a second crossbowman, while Hagen casts Sleep into the cottage to get any others that might be inside. Unknown to them, there is only one other in the cottage, but the spell does get him. Nom calls out to Elwinda and Hagen to use their magic weapons and attempt to kill Maxim while he's pinned. Though not quite helpless, the DM rules that a successful strike with a bladed weapon will prompt a check against the assassination table for an instant kill, if they hit while the bear is pinned. The werebear struggles, and several opposed rolls against the massive figures holding him down fail, giving Elwinda and Hagen a chance to strike the prone creature, but the bear's thick hide is enough to protect him despite bonuses to strike. At long last, a new figure enters the fray, and the DM calls for Thalon and Yanaros to roll for surprise. They are surprised on a 1 to 3 here, and alas, a 3 is scored, the worst possible result. Meaning 3 segments of surprise as Quipper the Ranger emerges from his hiding spot, loosing arrows at the nearest targets to his position. The first arrow at Yanaros, killing him with a single shot, then another at Thalon, likewise dropping him, and a third against one of the zombies, killing it. Attacks continue against the bear, who is unable to break free due to the Ray of Enfeeblement. Hagen finally succeeds in stabbing him, and after the damage is rolled, the DM has him roll a percentage dice. A 25% or less is needed for the instant kill on the assassination table, but Hagen rolls a 27%. The werebear continues to live. Seeing the immediate threat against Maxim, Quipper throws down his bow and charges in, wielding a longsword and dagger. Nom casts Hold Person at the charging ranger, and the table is relieved when Quipper's saving throw roll turns up a 2. Obvious fail. They were starting to worry, minions, but the relief is short-lived, and hearts sink as the ranger keeps moving as if nothing had happened. Quipper is armed with a ring of free action, which Nom surmises rather quickly. Quipper expertly destroys a zombie, and as the melee rages, kills another zombie as well as Kurt, who had moved in to help keep the bear pinned. Previously, Kurt, Smith, and Claude were using bows to cover. The numbers holding the bear down are thinning, but the rolls favor the team and the bear stays out of the fight. Nom sends his birds in to attack Quipper, hoping a successful strike might rake out his eyes. Elwinda's attempts to stab the bear proving fruitless, she casts Magic Missile for the guaranteed hit. Quipper deals a devastating strike on Hagen, who is now down to 4 hit points, so he withdraws from combat. Elwinda is subsequently struck, reducing her to but a handful of hit points. Nom casts Protection from Good upon himself, and is now using his magical flail to hit the werebear, who is clearly injured and showing it. But Quipper's precise strikes have now killed Claude and Smith, routed the goblins and Hadris, who never entered the fray, instead waiting for his opportunity to flee. Smart lad. Realizing that they are beaten, and that Quipper is far too great a foe for them to overcome, the team prepares to withdraw. Hagen casts Darkness 15-foot radius on Quipper, who fails his saving throw. Nom orders Zombie Ranchifus to retreat, and Zombie Bob to keep fighting the blinded Quipper. As Quipper engages Zombie Bob in a pool of darkness, the group flees to the river, where Nom uses the Ring of Elemental Command to create a pocket of air that they may travel underwater and prevent being tracked. The 45-minute head start given to them by the darkness spell, meaning the difference between life and death. The session ends there, as Nom, Elwinda, Hagen, the zombified Ranchivus, and lastly Nom's 2 birds escape their ill-fated attack against one of the rangers of Haranshire. Well, minions, wasn't that a thrilling one? It certainly made up for the rather anticlimactic battle against Haranshire, but that just goes to show you. You can't control the outcome of games like this. You just have to let things play out. I legitimately didn't know how this was going to end. I mean, I knew of Quipper's abilities and Maxim's presence, which was a big factor. But Nom's team aren't a group of weaklings. The werebear was a surprise to them, but of course it's not like they didn't know about Maxim. It was they who aided Quipper in finding the young man and bringing him home in the first place. They had simply forgotten. Well, Matt remembered, but remained mum as he was playing Kurg at the time, and this isn't information Yanaros would have had. No, minions. This battle was exciting for the simple reason that before it started, it could easily have gone in any direction. Of course, taking out the werebear by using the expendable peons was a good tactic by Nom, combined with Elwinda's ray of enfeeblement to seal the deal. That move alone probably saved everyone's lives, as a werebear is not a creature you want to face in melee. Otherwise, the dice simply weren't favoring the team. The werebear was dead meat once the characters with magic started stabbing at him while prone, but the misses just kept piling up. It didn't help that when Quipper appeared, the DM's rolls were all on point. I can't recall a single attack wherein Quipper missed. And further, except for his attacks on Hagen and Elwinda, every other hit was a one-shot kill. Very deadly indeed, minions. I do love how seeds planted in prior sessions blossomed here. Several, in fact. First off, their association with Quipper and Maxim set the stage. Nom's knowledge of Quipper's magic items largely prompted his decision to attempt this assault. But also, the defeat of Haranshire led Elwinda and Hagen to finding that captured spellbook, which they took the time to study and learn from. Hagen being able to learn the Darkness 15-foot radius spell is what ended up saving the group from Quipper. That spellbook was a source of discussion, as in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, players can get lots of experience for selling magic items, or a diminished amount for keeping them. In this case, the captured spellbook would have been worth around 26,000 gold, and therefore 26,000 XP. But only 2,600 XP if they kept it. But that would give them access to the magic within. Obviously, they opted to take the magic within. This is a feature of the game, not a bug in my estimation. Decisions should matter, as they did here. Had they decided to not utilize the book, instead saving it for the full gold and XP value upon returning home, Hagen wouldn't have had the darkness spell, and that might have ended the team right then and there. You can't benefit from XP if you're dead, minions. It's always interesting to trace events back. What might have happened had Hagen not learned that darkness magic? Nomgar and Elwinda were one solid hit away from Quipper ending them for good. Very close indeed. Maxim the werebear was on death's door, down to 6 hit points, and they almost got him. But he was back up and ready to fight alongside Quipper. Could they have survived such an assault from both enemies? Perhaps the dice would have turned in their favor. Or perhaps this was a total party kill in the making. It's immaterial now, but certainly fun to speculate. Nom and group retreated underground to return to the Broken Spire Keep. But those goblins, and Hadris, went elsewhere. And how long do you suppose it will take for the Ranger and Werebear to track them down, and pump them for information about where Nom and group are holed up? Yes, Nom and group aren't out of it yet. The winter's harsh, the Ranger's after them, and the Night Below campaign continues. Ta for now, minions.